Yeah, I actually don't understand. So this is the first year that I have systems and processes. Like I was telling, I hired a lady named Gabby, who's our director of operations, and she's a systems and processes wizard. But I didn't know I didn't have one until end of last year, 2021, when I realized that nobody knew what was going on outside of my own head if I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, could they keep the ship going? Yes. Were there cannonball holes in the side of it and we were taking on water? For sure.
Yeah.
And so I pivoted from an office manager position to like, I need a director of operations who is a systems, processes, procedures, growth, like internal growth, not sales and revenue growth, but how do we grow the business inside so it can bloom?
Yeah.
I still can't tell you how to define a system and a process. Like, is there a definition? Like, I don't know.
So when it comes to operations, it's really hard for entrepreneurs to understand the value of systems and processes until it becomes painful.
Oh,
and you experience that.
I did.
Is that it's growing pains. But the reason that so many businesses struggle when it comes to scaling is because typically the leader of the business, the CEO, whoever it is, the tendency is that they're visionary oriented. You are a visionary,
I've heard
Alex, right?
Yeah.
You're focused on this incredible vision of where things are going and what it looks like. You're standing at the tip of the boat, right? And you're looking
at the sea,
right?
Forgetting all of the stuff in the back of the boat.
With that shirt on, you could just open it up and just spread your arms out.
All the children are falling off the sides of the boat, and I'm just like, man, the breeze is nice up here.
Because you're focused on where you're headed. And that is absolutely essential for a team in order to be able to motivate and inspire and encourage and build up and call greatness out of people.
Yeah.
However, there's another side to this token that most entrepreneurs miss, which is often referred to as an integrator. Okay. Now,
This is an Enneagram thing, isn't it?
No. Well, I mean, Enneagram can
or is
come
this
into
EOS?
play.
Have you heard of EOS?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where I've heard it from.
Traction. It's a great book.
Traction. Yeah.
It's
I
a
got
great
that book
book.
on my shelf with dust on it.
Yeah, you got a lot of
I need to read it. Apparently, I need to read it.
I've been working on Alex for some time to get
Dude, I used to read all the time, and then I just don't even have. I just have to make time again.
Yeah,
I'm going to the beach this week. I should take like 5 books.
You should take one book, and you should focus on finishing one.
Why did
book.
I say 5? like I was gonna read 5 books. Well, I am going for 2 weeks, but if I read 5 books in 2 weeks, every person listening to this needs to Venmo Alex-Kirby-04 me $1. Because that would be impressive. No, Traction's the one I need to read, though.
Traction's a fantastic book, and especially for where you're at right now as far as systems and processes are concerned. Yeah. So when we talk about an integrator is typically more of that analytical type where they look at the nuts and the bolts. They look at all the people that are on the bus and figure out who's in the right seat, who's in the wrong seat, where do we need to make shifts and changes. But the reason that systems in and of themselves, and let's define them like you asked, a system is really something that is like a machine. Is that if you have variables, A plus B equals C, that's a system, right? And it's a closed system.
That's a great
that
analogy.
you are using certain variables to create a specific result. So it's really, I'm not
an algorithm.
It is an algorithm. I'm not a big fan of math, but if you can understand that the importance of a system and a process is not just because you're trying to duplicate this result. It's that you have to have a system and process in place that governs the business apart from feelings. This is where so many entrepreneurs get messed up, especially visionaries, because you're operating a lot based on your gut and what you feel like is the right decision. I should make this call. I should go here. I should be at this event. We need to do this, 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 and this. It's all feeling based.
Yeah.
But you have to marry facts and feelings. And when you create systems and processes and you're reviewing data and you're looking at, okay, is this something that's duplicatable? You can start to remove yourself from the business because now you have a protocol, you have a system, you have a machine that if X, Y, and Z are being done, will always create the result that you're looking for.
Some guardrails, some bumpers too.
Exactly.
Because it's not bad to, like Gabby would say to me, that she's like, you like living in harmony. And I do. I'm not an emotional person, but that's where my emotions go, is like, I like good vibes. Let's have peace here. Let's be on the same page. We don't have to be on the same line, but let's be on the same page, you know? And so that's where my emotions get the best of me, is I want like there to be harmony in the organization, where she's like, A plus C did not equal D. This person threw off the algorithm. Let's get them off the boat, so to speak. So that's super good. So
let me give some quick, some very simple practical advice.
That's what I was going to ask you. Give us an example, a practical example.
So when you look at all the constituent parts of your business, the traditional business has marketing, sales, and operations. Okay. Yeah. Now, when you start a business, typically you have to start with sales, otherwise you have no business, right? Marketing is a big part of that expands and grows. But you and I both know, if you're going to start a business, the very first thing you have to do is close some deals.
For sure.
Period. End of story.
No gas in the car.
Then you get into the marketing piece and you start to build all that out. If it's organic or paid media.
Got to be organic first, for sure.
All of that. And then you get to where, so many businesses get to, is the operational part, which is...
This is where they die.
Right. Because up until this point, it's just been one individual giving marching orders every single day. As people come in, it's like, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do this, don't do this, don't do this. So you as the visionary have all of the answers in your head. But again, you have a team of all these people that are like, Alex, we can't read your flipping mind. What are you actually, like, what's going on here? So practically, for anyone listening to this, you want to start with something very simple called SOPs. These are your standard operating procedures.
Handbook action.
It's a little handbook action, but it could be a 1-pager or a 2-pager. It doesn't have to be this whole notebook, but you need to look at, okay, from the moment that I open our front door, the moment like the lights flick on and we're game on, what does my team typically do? Like, your team shows up at a certain time. They have certain expectations. They've got to, I'm assuming, check their equipment, make sure they've got like the lawnmowers are full, if we're talking about trifecta or whatever. There are certain step-by-step processes that have to happen. And where a lot of businesses struggle is that they're relying on their senior staff to train these newer people. But it's apart from any type of SOP. There's no standard.
Yeah, you're like, it's like chess pieces. You're trying to figure out where the game's being played, and you've never been taught the game.
And so if you think about...
Yeah, can you imagine that? Hold on one second. That's exactly what it is. Can you imagine if someone handed you in a baseball you've never played, and they threw a ball and a bat and a glove on the field and said, figure it out? That's like, they got you to the field, they gave you the equipment, they gave you no rules and no expectations, and you
can't win because you don't know how to win.
That's good.
And this is where, if one of my favorite examples for this, just to simplify it, is the term standard actually comes out of, there's a few different backgrounds, but one of them is from woodworking.
Okay.
That if you're ever going to cut a piece of wood, say you need 20 pieces that are the exact same size, you have to have a standard, which is the very first one that you cut. And you have to use that to match every following cut. Otherwise, here's what happens. You cut the standard, you match it up to the next piece, and then you use the next piece and you cut it. If you keep using the next piece and the next piece over and over and over again, you're going to go from a 12-inch board to a 6-inch board by the time you're done, and nothing will be the same. So you have to start with a standard. This is what our business does. This is how we operate. These are our core values. This is the step-by-step process. So then what you can do is you can position people to succeed because they clearly have, here are the rules of the game. This is exactly what I'm supposed to do. And the reason I use that standard example for woodworking is that the visionary trains a manager, and then the manager takes their ideas and infuse them into the next person and the next person and the next person. And before long, you have this visionary at the top where nothing's being executed the way that they thought it should be. And then they're looking at their team that's maybe 2, 3, 4 rungs down the ladder. And they're like, why aren't you doing things the way that we do them around here? It's like, well, I was taught by so-and-so and they were taught by so-and-so, and the standard doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's like the water pouring bucket analogy where like it was full here and then you poured it once and some splashed out, and then you do it 5 more times. Next thing you know, you've got like an inch of water left. And you're like, why is the bucket not full? It makes total sense.
But here's the most important part, Alex, for why systems and processes are so important, is this the fastest way to find the problems in your business.
Fastest way to find the problems. Right.
Because what it does is it forces you to take an honest reflection of, here's my step-by-step process for how I acquire leads. And then you find out there's actually something broken in it because you finally took the time to look at what is my current process? How could we optimize this? How could we make it better? How could we refine it? You work through your sales, you work through your marketing, you work through operations, and you as the leader have to operate on your business.
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time.
Yep.
Don't work in your business. You got to work on it.
Yep.
This is in all practicality. This is how you do it. You look at your business and say, "This is how we've been doing sales. This is how we've been doing marketing. This is how we've been doing operations. Is this the most effective way?" And what you'll often find is that's the quickest way to solve your problems because you actually put everything on paper, on purpose, in front of you. You can see why are we doing this way.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up with challenging the people who go, "This sounds like white collar stuff to me. This is too much." Blue collar people who are out there doing, blood, sweat, and tears jobs.
Yep.
You can do the same thing. You should do this.
Yeah.
This is not for people who are running extravagant businesses. This is for people who are running businesses.
Yeah.
There's been within where I'm standing right now, we're recording this, 3 businesses within 500 yards have sold for $8 million or more. That's a service and trade from where we're at right now.
Yeah.
They're the most well-known companies of what they do in our city, and it's because they didn't say that. When they started their business, I know 2 of the owners who sold. They had 20, 30 employees, and then they doubled down on operating procedures and operations. So, David, this has been super good. I appreciate that. We're going to have another episode. We're going to film. This is part 1 of that. Let's go into core values on part number 2 when we come back. Next episode, make sure you guys tune in to the whatever number this is. Chris, I don't know what episode number this is. Chris doesn't know either. But we're going to have another one piggybacking this episode back-to-back weeks. So if you listen to this one, we'll call this part 1. Is that fair, Chris? We'll have operations part 2 talking about core values. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Down in Business Podcast.